Hello and welcome to another vlog. This one is quite fun because we have gone on a little business road trip. I just made it to California. It was an 11-hour flight, just a little on the long side, but I have my reasons for coming here. I love living in Switzerland. It is an incredible place. I'm so grateful. It is such a beautiful country. But it is also a very, very small place. It's literally 9 million people. So the whole female online entrepreneur type business scene is not really a thing there. And every now and again, you totally get, if you run a business, that it's a little bit of a lonely experience sometimes. I mean, you sit by yourself all day, every day with your own business challenges and problems. And it's so nice to have business friends who get it, who are at a similar stage, who understand what you're going through and can help you through some of your big decisions and challenges. Yeah, finding that in Switzerland, I mean, I haven't found it yet. I don't know if it exists. If it does and you know, please tell me in the comments. But until that day, when that exists there, it does mean that every now and again, I need to get my buns on a plane and go to the place where that thing does exist. And so I just got into California last night and I'm headed to Create and Cultivate's 7-Figure Founder Retreat. They picked Napa Valley to host it in. And I was like, all right, I mean, business trip to Napa? Can't say no to that. That's a pretty great location. But I'm not just here for the wine. I mean, it's a perk, but I do have a few very specific business goals for this trip actually. First one is make a new business friend, or preferably 7. Second thing is to understand my customer a bit better. So a lot of people, everyone just assumes I'm American. And I did go to university there. I did meet my husband there. I did live there for a couple years, but I'm actually Canadian and I have lived in Europe for the past 8 years. And so I feel like it's always a good thing to really be in touch with your customer, understand the person you're serving and their life and everything. And so that does require me getting on a plane every now and again and going to the US and really being ingrained in the culture. And so I used to come here for business trips all the time, pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic happened and I just literally haven't been back for 4 years. So I figured that would be a good thing to do. Also, my husband and I, whenever I'm in the US or Canada, we always have this sort of ongoing joke about reverse culture shock. And it's really fun to kind of just observe the things that are super Canadian or super American when you're here. And so we always send each other photos of the most Canadian or American thing we can find. So I need to find some sort of super American experience or food or product or something and send him a picture of it. And then finally, third thing is I'm going to wine country, so may as well. I've always loved Riesling, but lately, I don't know, it's just my palate has changed or something, not that into it lately. And so I figured it would be also really convenient if I could find a new house white to have. And I did look at the schedule of the retreat. There are 2 wineries that we're going to, so hopefully I can find a fabulous new white wine. So yeah, those are my goals for the trip. I am just in San Francisco right now. Stayed here overnight. It is about a 2-hour Uber to get to Napa. So let's go. San Francisco is the actual future. There's just a robot wandering the streets. What is that thing for? 2-hour drive later, we made it to Napa. This hotel is some kind of gorgeous. Let me show you. Really beautiful gardens. We have arrived in Napa. Just checked into my room. I'll show you it in a second. But first, oh my God, y'all, the anxiety is real. Walking into a room full of people who I don't know is top 3 least favorite things I do in my life. And so the things you do for your business. Anyways, I'm meeting the group in 20 minutes, but let's show you the room first. We have the bedroom, followed by closet. Thank the Lord they have a steamer in there. A little bathroom. And the coffee area. Amen for an espresso machine. Just going to change real quick. Okay, we're ready. just like that, we are back home. I promise I will actually film more tomorrow. It is a little bit uncomfortable when you just like first meet people, so you know, pull out a camera. But I'll give you a little recap of the evening. We did a little tour around a winery and then had a lovely dinner. They also encouraged us to, at the very, very beginning, to get to know our neighbor. And it just so happens that my neighbor was a British girl. And it was really cool because I know of her product, which is amazing. So she runs, I think it's called the Flat Something Co. It's basically a makeup bag, which has a drawstring, which then like flattens out. It's an interesting product. Don't have one myself, but I've seen a few influencers talk about it. And so I definitely know the product and everything. And yeah, she was so interesting to chat with about like how she got it started and the production and how she chose the product in the first place and like all these things. So anyways, and she now lives in Lisbon and one of my good business besties is there. So I'm gonna definitely connect them so they can make more friends. Also, it was really fabulous in terms of a lot of the women run businesses in very, very, very different like industries to me. Actually, not a lot of like online course creator type people. And so it's really actually exciting to talk to people who are developing actual like physical products or running very different styles of businesses, because I feel like I definitely know that one day it would be lovely to also take on a business model, which is a little bit more challenging. Courses are such a beautiful thing because it's such a relatively, compared to other styles of businesses, like easy type of business to run and manage. I also noticed when I go back to my room that they give us a little gift, so I want to show it to you. So Spanx is sponsoring the event and it looks like they have provided a few goodies. So we have a silk face mask, love, a headband, hair elastic, lovely. What is this? Oh, it's a marshmallow, I think. Yeah. There's a girl, oh, that was also interesting. I met a girl who runs some like custom marshmallow company, which is just the most random but amazing thing. A few other products, and then this is very interesting. Ooh, oh, it looks like different people got different items. Okay, a pair of Spanx tights. Cool, can't wait to try those on. And then a sweater that feels incredibly fabulous. Oh, I can't wait to try that on. But I think it's time for bed and I will see you in the morning. It is day 2, bright and early, which really brought my coffee with me. I think there's an energy healing this morning. I'm always game for energy healing, sound baths, meditations. I find them so relaxing and de-stressing. So let's go see how this is. Good morning. I wanted to pick up a little bit where I left off yesterday, telling you about different people I met and the conversations I had. As I mentioned, I haven't met that many. One course creator, and in my mastermind, which I'm part of, which I absolutely love, it is a lot of mostly course creators and coaches and that sort of thing. And so just getting to chat with people who have a completely different business model. I've met so many women who are in the physical product space, which is something that I'm so curious to learn about. I was chatting with a few of them. The one of them, her business is if someone has a desire to get into, I think, sustainable skincare and beauty products, she helps them actually do the development and the production of those products. I mean, obviously I started asking questions about like, what are the beauty products and skincare products, which are actually worth it and the best like quality products and everything. And she had said Dior, apparently their skincare is genuinely fantastic, which I thought was quite interesting because there is a YouTube channel called Dr. Lee, which I got really into in the pandemic. I think they launched in the pandemic actually. And it's basically these two dermatologists, really funny guys, who chat about skincare and like these devices and these products and Are they like, how effective are they actually, and what's the science behind them, and is this legit and everything? And so I found that channel very fascinating. And I think it was them who had mentioned that sometimes these like luxury skincare brands, they have their own ingredients, which they've done their own research on. They're secret ingredients which no one else can use or something. And so therefore it's sometimes difficult to know, like, are the research and tests that they're doing, is that legitimate? Because the company who is producing the product saying it's amazing is the only one actually doing the research on that like ingredient. But anyway, she had said both Dior and Chanel skincare is apparently very good and worthwhile. So I thought that was quite interesting. She also mentioned there is a new brand, I'm forgetting the name, but it's out of Turkey, if you know it, and please let me know in the comments. I can't remember what the name of it was. If that rings a bell to anyone who's very into skincare. Apparently that is also genuinely incredible. So yeah, that was one interesting chat which I had. And then we were discussing, of course, like funding of those types of endeavors. And she was mentioning how much trouble a lot of her founders have with their VC backers, and everyone who I've heard of who has gotten funding did not seem to have the best time with it or love it. And that seemed to be the experience that she had found with a lot of her founders too. So that was one interesting chat. She was sitting beside me at dinner. And then was chatting with another girl who's in the real estate space, and she's interested to get into courses. So we were discussing how to properly launch courses and those sorts of things. And that we were also discussing the pros and cons of having a partner and founder in your business. A lot of the women actually have co-founders or partners in their business who are here. And then on the bus ride, shuttle ride back from dinner, chatting with another lady who works in the luxury wedding industry, that we were discussing how, I think she had put out a reel or a TikTok, or I think a reel, and maybe, I don't know, just a post on Instagram talking about how people who are trying to market in the wedding industry to luxury clients who use the word luxury, it's like you want to actually completely avoid that, because you're attracting, like, I think she called it mid-market clients or something when you use the word luxury. And then we were also discussing like I was curious to know sort of the myths and the myths and facts about the luxury wedding industry. And she was saying that, what was it? I asked the question, I was just curious to know, is it money that they've made themselves for the wedding, or is it family money for the wedding? And she was saying that she works in the South, and so it is pretty much all family wealth. Whereas some of the people who she knows who works in places like New York City, or I think Washington, or someplace in California, that's more the bride and groom are the ones who are funding the wedding. Not always, but often. I thought that was a rather interesting fun fact. The other ones were luxury clients are not the ones getting married in Europe. These are Americans, so American luxury clients are not the ones getting married in Europe. That's mid-market clients. And also, and I'd read a report on that recently actually, that people buying luxury brands, it's also more mid-market. It's not actually the top of the market, which I'd read that in a report. Yeah, very interesting. So, and then also I was chatting with this girl Izzy, who runs the Flat Lay makeup bag company, and we were just discussing how she got started in it, how I'm so impressed, because she's like, I literally just Googled, which I mean, I also did that to start my business, but it's just, doing product seems more, it's obviously definitely more complicated, but she talked about the different like factors that she was thinking about when she was thinking about what product she wanted to launch. And was mentioning like something that wouldn't degrade, it wouldn't expire, there was no like, it's not like clothing, there's not like different sizes, wouldn't like break in the mail, a few different like factors that she was thinking about when she was thinking about like the product that she wanted to launch. So it just shows you how much like logic and strategy went into the like practical back end of running that business. And yeah, she had just placed an order from she'd never actually gone to the Far East to go. Sometimes I've heard that if you want to launch products, like you should get on a plane and you should go to China and go, I don't know, see the factories and whatever. And she was like, no, I've honestly got pretty lucky. The first factory that I worked with was really solid. And then we were discussing, she was also mentioning a few influencers, like once one or two influencers mentioned it, it just absolutely took off. And also I think she had gotten it into I forget which store, but some store in the UK to start with. And that was also really how it actually started. And then one or two influencers had mentioned it, and that really pushed it. And I think it's interesting how in these different business models or business types, different marketing strategies, like not the same marketing strategy is not always the best marketing strategy by any means. Like what works fantastically well for one company or industry could be very different for another. And so yeah, influencers were apparently huge for her business. Today, the game plan, I have to be at breakfast for 9:30. I think there are some chats with some speakers, lunch. I don't think we're gonna make it to the pool a single time. And then this evening, we're going to another winery for a wine tasting and dinner. The white wine, which I had yesterday at dinner, was fantastic, but I actually did not catch the name or get a photo of the label to know what it was. So still, I guess, on my hunt for my new white wine. It was quite good, but I actually don't know what it was. I was too busy chatting with people. Yeah, I think that's all my updates, which I have for you. So yeah, let's go for day 2. Okay, here's the outfit for day 2, and let's go. Okay, we are back in the room after the first full day of content. I took some quick notes on my phone of some observations which I want to share with you, specifically if you're looking to build a business to 7 figures or beyond. Some things which I noticed were consistent in the room. One thing was the number of these women who have been doing this for 10 years or more. It seemed like from what people were saying, everyone was sort of giving their like pros and thorns of something that's going really well in their business and something that's not going so well in their business that they would like help with. And a lot of the women in those stories were talking about how long they've been in business. Like, oh, I've been doing this 12 years, or I've been doing this 6 years, or I've been doing this 7 years, or 10 years, or whatever. And yeah, everyone was saying somewhere between like 6 to like 12 to even 20 years. And so it just goes to show that when it comes to if you want to build something to 7 figures plus, it's not typically an overnight thing, and it is something that you really need to commit to for a good number of years. And so really the thing which I would encourage you to think about in that sense is the business which I'm currently building something which I want to build for the next 7 years, for example? And if you do have ambitions to get to 7 figures and past, that's an important question to ask yourself, because if there could be, and there was plenty of women who had some sort of challenge like that, where it's like the way the business is currently built, they didn't want to continue running it in that way. It was too impactful on their life or their marriage or whatever. And so therefore they need another way to build a business or to like manage the team or something. Another thing that was semi-frequently happening was also like challenges of having say like 29 people on one team all reporting into the like top founder person, and basically figuring out how do you make sure that not all of the questions go to the very top, and what sort of like reorganization do you need to do to make it that not all of the people are reporting into the founder because of how like massively unsustainable that is. So that was interesting. Other thing which I thought was really interesting was the number of people who are not the face of their business. And I feel like in my space, it's a lot of people who are personal brands who are the face of the business, but there was a good number of women in that room when someone had asked like, raise your hand if you're not the face of your business or something, and a good number of hands in the room went up. And so if that is something where you feel like, and there was another question asked about, can I build a business to 8 figures and beyond without being the face of the business? And the answer was absolutely yes. So, and the other thing was, there was a lady, one of the speakers, she was talking about some different like list building strategies and stuff, and she had used ManyChat and social media to build her list by, I think she said 200,000 email subscribers. And so social is obviously not something which is my favorite thing, clearly. But it shows that like there's a million ways to, I hate that term, skin a cat, but like you can build a business in so many different fashions and methods. And so she had used Instagram and social. The one thing that is consistent, which like every single person in the room would talk about, like everyone knows the importance of a list. If you are getting traffic from these other platforms, places like social, getting it to a place that you own, because she was also saying, she's like, only 3% of your people are seeing your stuff. She also was talking about just repost the same thing. Like, you don't need to be constantly creating new content, like on this like road to burnout because of that and everything. Like, if only 3% of your people are seeing it, then they probably didn't see it the first time or the second time or the fifth time. And even if they did, maybe they did need to see it again, or maybe they really enjoyed it the first time and they enjoyed it just as much the second time. So I thought that was really interesting. So anyways, that is some of the things that were being discussed in the room, some of the observations which I had. The other observation I had, holy smokes, was the freaking size of the gift bag. My suitcase was 16 kilos when I was coming here, and I think it could be 23 or something. So let's hope I have enough room for all the gifts, including 2 Stanley mugs. And I don't own a single Stanley mug. I know that's like a big thing in the US, but I have never had one. So I get to finally see what all the rage is about. So yeah, that's it for my little recap. I'm just going to get ready. We are headed to a winery called One Hope Winery today. We actually met one of the co-founders of the winery. She was on a panel today. So yeah, I will bring you along for a little bit of that too. Okay, we are off to dinner. It is floral themed. We are ready for day 3. This is my outfit. I actually was just at Cezanne in Zurich right before I left, and I found both these shorts and the shirt, and I'm loving them. And then these earrings were actually a birthday gift. These are Nicola Bathy, I believe, and I'm really into like exceptionally large earrings right now. So yeah, let's go. Morning. It is the next day, the day after the last day of the event. I was so exhausted yesterday. We finished up the last session and then everyone went to the pool and hung out, and I socialized more. Some very, very interesting conversations with a couple of ladies who run a marketing agency and are looking to get into courses, and they do marketing for physical products like home goods and clothing and that sort of thing. So it was really interesting to chat with them. And then I was helping them out with discussions on courses. But yeah, one of the things which I noticed from the event was I definitely have one of these smaller businesses there, and that is so great. I mean, of course, that's like a little bit, feel like small beans sometimes. But the benefit of that is that when you get in a room with people who are truly at another level of business, you just, I don't know, they open your mind so much to what can be done. And I think the really inspiring thing is that when you see women who are like just look like a normal human, and then they come out with like, oh yeah, then my business did this, you're just like, okay, great. So anyways, it was a very inspiring few days, and I definitely have my mind expanded as to what is possible. But yeah, so yesterday I hung out by the pool for a bit, went home, was so exhausted, just was like ordered room service to my room and went to bed. And that was fabulous. So this morning I woke up, I wanted to do a little bit of something slightly energetic because I'm about to sit on a flight for 11 hours. or even longer. So I borrowed one of the bicycles from the hotel and decided to bike into the little town. We were in the town of Calistoga. During the entire event, we literally just saw like the inside of the hotel. We did actually go to some wineries, but you took the shuttle there and you were chatting with them the entire time, so I swear I didn't even look out the window. So I was like, I feel like I don't know. I'm like on this like hotel island and I don't know what's outside of it. So I just took the bike and biked into town, which is very, very adorable. And just about to get some breakfast at a plant-based eatery. They had a latte with pistachio milk, and I've never had pistachio milk before. It doesn't taste specifically pistachio-like, but it is like a little bit sweeter. It tastes kind of like oat milk, but a little teeny tiny bit sweet, which is nice. Anyways, I've just ordered some pancakes. Haven't had pancakes in forever. I feel like it's super American over here. You should get pancakes or waffles or something. Yeah, that's all for now. We made it back to the room after my little bike ride, got my heart rate going for a good 20 minutes. I wanted to share with you, I have my notes from the event here in this book. Some of the other takeaways I had, one of the girls Tori Dunlap did a talk on Instagram, and while I don't use Instagram, I mean some of the stuff definitely relates to YouTube. One of the things that she was saying is like, for example, like the importance of getting to the point of the content immediately when you start the piece of content. I think on a YouTube video, you have a little bit longer than say like a reel, but not really. And so say if you're gonna like tell a joke and then the punchline, you actually flip it around in a piece of content. It's like you tell the punchline and then you tell the joke, which just shows the fact that people have very short patience these days for content. But if you get them at the beginning, you can keep them. There was a bit of discussion on selling your business and the different types of partners that you could have in selling your business: a strategic buyer, a private equity buyer, going public. Another thing which was really interesting was, I'm forgetting her name right now, but she runs, I think it's called Cubicle to CEO. I believe it's a podcast and a YouTube channel. And she was mentioning and explaining exactly how her funnel works. And I thought that was quite interesting, quite good. She was talking about getting people, she runs ads, she's like getting people to transact as quickly as possible. She's like, even if they just spend $1 with you, like that's really key. So she's doing self-liquidating offers. So that's basically, you run ads to a low price product, something like, for example, $27. It needs to solve a very specific micro problem. So for her, I don't know, she still does this one. She said back in the day, it was like how to get thousands of views with hashtags on your, I think, social media content. And then she thinks about, okay, what problem do they have once they've solved that like social media problem, this like hashtag problem. Then she's like, okay, well then they're gonna want like a list of the tags to use, for example. So then she sold a list of tags to use. She said the self-liquidating offer needs to be something that people can implement within 24 hours. And then after that, there's a third offer, which is a one-time offer. And I think it's some sort of video that she did. And so she said the total cost of all those three things, if you like put them together and people buy all three, which apparently a decent number of people do, is $151. And that is basically how she, and I know a lot of people do this, how they're getting their ads to hopefully pay for themselves right off the bat. So then anything like the thing you actually want to sell is just straight profit. Another discussion that was being had was about free webinars versus paid webinars. So one of them had mentioned that when you do a free webinar, you get the average like 30% show up rate, whereas when you do a paid webinar, for example, one girl had done a $47 paid webinar. She got 1,000 registrations, which is lower than her normal, but then she had a 90% show up rate. So when people pay, they pay attention. While there was a lot of discussion about ads and about social media and everything, there was also a chat which I had by the pool with the ladies who run the marketing agency for physical products, they were discussing the importance of not having all of your revenue come from one main marketing channel, and you don't want anything to be maybe like more than, say, 30% of your revenue. So if you're running ads or you're running whatever, social or whatever, you don't want it all to be in the one, because I have seen friends who went a little bit, were all like ad driven, and then when the ad price got out of control, it wasn't profitable any longer and it really hurt their business. And I've seen that happen with a few people now, and so it just speaks to the importance of diversifying your marketing. But another thing that was a realization for myself was just how some of these women, their courses are doing like 18 times, for example, what ours are. And so it just shows me also the not spreading yourself too thin too quickly. If you have something, an amazing, incredible product that works, like continuing to scale with that one thing as opposed to trying to do 79 things is quite interesting. So anyways, those were some of the main takeaways. The other thing was I was chatting with some of the ladies about why specifically they had chosen to come to the event. And a lot of us said the same thing, like wanting to make business friends at a similar level. And also the great thing about this event specifically was it was just a one-time event. It wasn't like a year-long mastermind commitment or anything, which I feel like a lot of in-person events, it is like that longer commitment, which I also do love and enjoy, but I'm already in a mastermind. It already has in-person events. I don't want to be in a second or a third one in the year. I just find that's like way too much. I would definitely recommend, if you are feeling like you want some more business besties in your life, coming to something like this is exceptionally helpful. It's worth the 11-hour flight. One of the girls who's here, she lived in London the same time I did, and we were going to the same co-working space, but we never met each other. And then we met each other in Napa, and yeah, got along really well. So if you feel like you're feeling a little lonely in your business, you want some other humans and everything, there's different levels of what's beneficial. Doing some sort of community or membership online is definitely helpful, but then the next level up from that is if you can get yourself to some sort of an in-person event. It is exceptional, the friendships that you can build in a very short period of time, which isn't as possible just on the internet. So yeah, great to cultivate. I am so impressed. They did a beautiful job hosting this event. It was really exceptional. The content that they produced, the experience that they produced, the beautiful location, the insane number of gifts that they gave, which to be honest, most of them are not going to fit in my bag. So I hope the housekeeping team enjoys those. But yeah, I believe they said they're hosting a 6-figure founder retreat happening in Miami in September. So yeah, if you're interested, that could be something for you to head to. Just went in the pool and went swimming, and then I realized, shit, I'm gonna have to put a wet bathing suit in my suitcase now. I was not. So I'm just gonna sun on both sides and hopefully I can drive this bathing suit out before I need to call my Uber. But yeah, speaking of YouTube being a very odd job, my husband and I just, when I was coming here, I was talking about like, you always need to think of the concept for the video before you film it. And so I was also listening to a very interesting podcast episode, which it was on, I'll link it in the comments below. It was, or the description. It was from Creator Science, and they interviewed a guy, I want to say his name was Jake, maybe? And he's like an expert at YouTube titles, and he talked about like the 3 aspects that make a YouTube title successful. One is negativity, or like some sort of negative emotion or fear or something, which like that's why all of our news is freaking terrifying now, is because we all click on it, and also with YouTube videos. Second is aspirational, and then third is curiosity inducing, or ideally you like mix 2 of those things together. I was just thinking of the title. I was like, okay, I could have it be like a negative thing, being like, oh, I'm lonely in business and I want more business friends, or I can make it positive, or like curiosity inducing, like what 7-figure founders really talk about. And then I realized, I was discussing with my husband like which concept to do. He was like, oh, don't go for the negative ones. Like, don't, like, do you want all of your YouTube titles and videos to be like, oh, I'm struggling, which is like, no. It's difficult to figure out how you want to play the game without selling your soul in the process. And yeah, so he was like, I would go for the aspirational aspect. But then at the same time, the problem I have with that is like, I just hate like overly bragging type I don't know, content or people, and I'm like, I don't want to be that. So yeah, it's a ongoing moral dilemma I have with the things I need to do in business, is figuring out how much do you want to play the game, and where do you draw the line, and do you want to go for the negative, do you want to go for the aspirational? Yeah, and I feel like taking YouTube video thumbnails at the pool of like living my best life is the definition of kind of the problem I have with like social media and the internet these days, but also is my job. So anyways, that's just a little fun fact before we go.